Hey guys, it's Brian Carroll with Maloof Realtor. Welcome back to another episode of Maloof Plays. I am probably the luckiest guy around right now because I'm with Sue King, Maloof Realtor agent. Hi Sue, how are you today?
Good, I'm great, Brian. Happy to be here with you.
Great. I apologize in advance for my driving. I'll try to focus on the road, but have a few questions for you. And this is kind of an interesting format for today because we already shot the video that's going to be the big portion of this a couple weeks ago. And so we're going to have to do, I don't know, so we'll have to come up with some sort of flashback thing or something. Maybe we'll do some effects or something to get us there. But now we're obviously riding around in cars and talking about real estate. How are you doing today, by the way?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. So how long have you been a realtor?
It'll be 3 years in July.
3 years July. What's your story? How did you get into real estate? What was your...
Well, I was always interested in real estate, and when I was back in the day, when I was in college, I actually got a scholarship from Maloof.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew that if I ever was able to have the time to do real estate, I would want to work for Maloof. And my father-in-law worked for Maloof, Bill King, for many years.
Yep.
And then my sister-in-law still works for Bill King, Roberta King.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a family tradition in our family. So I knew I had to come to Maloof.
Real estate in your DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Say, what's the most important thing that you've learned so far about real estate?
Well, it's really funny is I didn't really know too much about credit scores, and I didn't know too much about getting loans and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I talked to so many first-time home buyers, and while it's not required with our contract that you have a pre-approval because you can get it in 2 to 3 days, there's many instances where it's good to start on that right away. I always say it's kind of like I love that show, Say Yes to the Dress, where they look for the bridal thing. And one of their cardinal rules...
I love that show too.
One of their cardinal rules on that show is you don't shop for a more expensive dress than what your budget is.
Yep.
Well, the same is true in real estate, because if we go look at $1 million house and your budget's only $500,000, you're not going to ever be happy with a $500,000 house once you've seen $1 million house, because you're going to keep comparing it in your mind. So I think that's the first thing to realize, is that you need to get your pre-approval so we know where do we look. Now, usually there's a range where we could look, because a lot of people can afford more than they want to pay.
Sure. But
we need to go ahead and get that started with a pre-approval. Then writing a contract and everything is just really much easier.
Sure, it gives you some leverage too when it comes to negotiation time. I mean, the buyer with the pre-approval letter versus the buyer without the pre-approval letter has that extra leverage when you're in a situation where there are multiple offers, obviously. So
that's true, but it's kind of getting to be, there's many realtors based upon their seller's advice that won't even look at an offer without a pre-approval. And I think it just depends on the seller, but they're getting so savvy that they know that they have to have that. They're saying, don't give it to us. We don't want we're not going to talk to you unless we have that pre-approval with the offer.
Do you have any advice that you would give somebody that was listing their property in today's market? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I think the general advice is, depending on when you bought your property, the value in today's market with all the changes we've had, especially with Caterpillar's headquarters moving and, not knowing the condition of your home or anything, it's hard to say if you're going to get the money that you've invested out of your property. I think you just need to be open to listening to the agent as to what the market is now.
Yep.
And really trust that your agent's going to want to get the most for you. But there are certain limits where, an agent can't get you $1 million if your property's quite frankly not worth that.
Sure. So Sue, I have my seatbelt off because we're stopped, by the way, so do not blow up the Facebook page. But Sue, the event that we attended 2 weeks ago, first of all, was awesome. It was the best thing I've done in a long time. It was a lot of fun, and I learned so much about your family's involvement with that. Can you talk a little bit about what we're going to see here today?
Well, basically, my husband started the Beerfest. The first Beerfest was back in 1993. I was actually pregnant with my oldest daughter, Amanda, at that time. We had it at the Holiday Inn Brandywine, and they had sold advance tickets, and the sales had gone quite well. And my husband went to the manager and said, we've had a lot of ticket sales. We'd like to get the big ballroom. Well, there was some type of breakfast the next morning, and they didn't want to hire a cleaning crew to come in and reset up and do all that stuff before the breakfast. And so they left us in this small room. There was so
Bad idea.
Very bad. It went over so well. There was a line around the swimming pool at the Holiday Inn Brandywine. It had started snowing that day, and Bob Vila was there for the home show. And my understanding is he had to park across the street at the mall and schlep his
trudge through the snow and
over.
stuff.
And so
he probably still curses your husband's name.
He might not know that, but anyway. The Beerfest itself got shut down because we have too many people per capita, so the fire marshal came and shut us down.
Wow.
Plus people were parking everywhere where they weren't supposed to. So
right out of the gate, you knew that you had a hit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many of these have you been to? How many? I mean, you've probably gone to every one of them, correct?
I've been to all of them. I used to work when my husband owned the company, I used to work the t-shirt and sell glassware and stuff, and friends of ours would help me do that. So I worked kind of safely behind the table, so I wasn't out with everybody else, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I had a ton of conversations that day with you, with your family, with the people that have been involved in this for a while, people that worked with Steve, on some of these. And I mean, there's a sense of pride around this. And if you think about it, it is, I mean, it's really something very, very, it's so integral to our community. It's like people look forward to this every year. And
everybody knows about it.
Oh yeah,
everybody knows.
It's just one of those.
They may not know my husband started it, but they know that the Beerfest is out there, and it's something I'm very proud of him for.
Yeah.
And besides that, we were able to do the ribbon cutting, which you'll probably see part of it.
Very cool.
Then the next day, through donations for his memorial, we put a bridge at Kellogg Golf Course in his memory.
That's awesome.
So we had the dedication, and then we had a really nice write-up in the Journal Star about that.
Yeah,
so
it was a cool weekend for your family. And I mean, and like I said, I didn't know how deeply involved he was in this, but we were talking, I think, at the Beerfest. I don't know if this makes it into the video or not, but it's coming up after this. But, I worked at a liquor store when I was 18 or 19 years old, and I was talking to somebody that day, maybe your son or you. There was no craft beer back then.
No.
I mean, there was nothing, from small microbreweries that you could buy, regularly. Your husband was...
He brought craft beer to Peoria. He would go to Chicago and bring it down. He started in his car. Yeah. He started in his basement. He started the business when we first met.
That's incredible.
And we've gone different locations and stuff. And he sold the business in 2013. We knew the kids didn't want to take it over. And,
that's a pretty cool legacy. Why don't we let these people take a look at what we saw? It was a lot of fun.
That sounds good. I hope you enjoy it.
It's going to be great. I was there. It was awesome.
Come next year.
Yeah, definitely come next year.
We'll be there again.
So let's do can we do like a little flashback thing, and then I'll add some effects. Can you do... Okay, there we go.
To Maloof. I'm here at Dozer Park. We're celebrating the 27th annual International Beerfest.
So Sue, do you love craft beer also?
No,
You don't love craft beer.
I won't drink anything but cider. So
That's
I
almost,
kinda lost
boy,
my-
that's high controversy.
That's why he married me, because I won't drink the profits. So.
Nice.
I'm with the Peoria Jaycees. I've been a Jaycee member since 2002, and I have been with the International Beer Festival for 17 years, since 2003. The Peoria Jaycees International Beer Festival is the oldest, longest running international beer festival in the country. There are older beer festivals, but they are not the ones that serve international beer like we do. We currently have beers from 13 different countries in almost every state.
I'm Jeff Pulfer, and I helped Sue King start this festival 20 years ago. I'm not sure what year this is. But Steve approached me with an idea. He said he wanted to do a beer festival here in Peoria with different craft international beers. And I go, well, I think I can provide some manpower for you from the Jaycees, other groups, people like knew. And so we got together. I had known Steve for several years before that through different social clubs that out and about town.
You're like
But
the
here I
spirit.
am.
You're like the spirit animal of this event. Everywhere I turn, here you are with the giant pretzel.
Yeah, a German attire, yeah. I kind of always had a German hat or something at the fest, and now like leader hose and the whole gambit. About 4 years ago, I started walking around with pretzels and go, pretzel photo, put it on Facebook, you know.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate the honor for my husband. It's been many years since the first Beerfest, and I can proudly say I've been to them all. Back in 1993, I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, Amanda, and we got closed down at the Holiday Inn Brandy line. They called the fire marshal on it. All right, you guys ready? Steve planned everything, and he even worked on it after, you know, he had sold our company. He was always had a passion for this, you know, that was one of his many passions. He wanted to see, it's like a baby, you know, you want to see it survive.
Sure.
And we're fortunate to be sitting here with my children and knowing that what he started is still going on. We're all here.
Stevie, this is your first
Yes.
beer fest, and I was lucky enough today, literally at the Beer Fest founded by Steve King, to attend it as a VIP with
The son.
his son. It was awesome. He did not lead me astray. He helped me out. He told me, he taught me that I was not doing it correctly. I don't have a glove, which I will have next time I'm here.
No, it's actually like I'm very happy to be here for my first, just because like I can just see, like I could just imagine all the hard work and effort that went into the last 20 plus years of the event, and just seeing all the, you know, all the distributors that are here with their import beers, and their, you know, taste so unique. And I could just imagine, you know, like what he was thinking, you know, of bringing the beer in the industry. And I'm just very happy to be here, and very happy to share it with my family, and because it's something unique. And I'm happy that, you know, people from the area, especially from Peoria, you know, being such a small area from the middle of the Midwest, you know, not much import beer is from here, you know, and I'm glad that people can, you know, have that value of it and taste it and be appreciated.